feels like every month there's a school shooter.
Analyst Rob D'Amico. Here with me in studio, Jonathan Metzl, a psychologist and author of the book, What We've Become, Living and including the shooter's writings. Where does this investigation stand?
Yeah, well, Chris, initially, FBI Director Kash Patel said that the FBI was investigating this as an act of domestic terrorism targeting Catholics. But as you just described, the evidence is showing this is much more complicated than that. And sadly, this reflects a pattern among mass shooters that we've seen going back many, many years. What we see here is a chaotic diversity of ideological motives and an obsession with previous mass shooters, especially Adam Lanza, who carried out the Sandy Hook massacre back in 2012. That name was inscribed on one of the weapons that was shown in this YouTube video. And what I've learned over the years of studying these incidents is that there is a subculture of people who are obsessed with mass shooters, and they often gather together in the dark corners of the internet. And generally, when you look into their past writings, there's a trail of horrific things that if only people had seen it in advance, they might have taken action. And in some cases, I've covered stories where they did take action. In one case, an FBI team visited a student who had threatened a school shooting, but deemed he wasn't a threat, and then a year later, he shot up a school in New Mexico. So that's what we're seeing in this case, is a sort of across the board a collection of obsessions, not a clear motive. I mean, terrorism has a clear definition. It's trying to use violence to achieve a political objective. It's not at all clear that that was the case, but obviously the FBI and local authorities are going to continue to pour through this evidence to try to discern some type of motive, although they never may end up coming to a firm conclusion, Chris.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's more complicated now, Rob. I mean, obviously they get electronic search warrants, they go through devices, but the number of places that people can live online seem to be so much broader than they have ever been before. What do they even look for? Where do they even look, Rob?
It's so tough between encrypted apps and chat groups on those, Telegram, Discord. They all have different groups. Then you can go even the dark web, and you can go so many different places. As we saw this with terrorism, like the radicalization, the spewing of hatred comes out, and they sit in their basement, as you know, Director Comey said. You sit in your basement alone, and you start going down these paths.
Rabbit holes.
But I find it hard to believe, with everything that we've seen with his weapons and his magazines written on them, and how much hate he had, that no one saw this. No one, like if I saw someone with a weapon at a range that had writing on the magazines, you bet I'm going to be reading it. And if I see the stuff that was on there, call someone. As we talked yesterday about the National Violence Prevention Hotline, that's not just for people thinking of doing violent acts. It's for people that observe loved ones or friends or someone that they're even close to that they're worried about, that can call, because it's so important that when you see something like this, say something, because there are times in there, and if you talk to people, that may have been prevented this crisis.
I didn't even know there was that national hotline. I never even heard of it. Have y'all?
Yeah, going back, Jonathan, to what Ken talked about, we thought for such a long time that there's a specific ideology, right? Radical Islamic, terrorism, and that, we can put somebody in a box. Now, one researcher explained it to NPR this way: it's really about violence for the sake of violence. Are people changing the way that they look at terror and how to stop these homegrown terrorists?
Right. I mean, what we call it, first of all, is so important, right? Is it terrorism? Is it radicalization? Is it a crime and mass murder? It's probably all those things. Mm-hmm. But it's very difficult to say, like, I agree with the point that was just made, that of all the people who are like threatening online and doing all these things, figuring out, we're going back and we're going to find out what happened. It's just really hard to do in prospect. And I say that because a lot of times, I'm a psychiatrist, right? Family members are concerned, people are concerned, but it's not like a mass shooter just snapped and had a psychotic break. A lot of times it's a lifetime or decades long pattern of worsening symptoms, characterologic things, threats. And so thinking about what is this? Is this mental illness? Is this radicalization? I just think it's something that's going to take time. And I agree with the point that it's really going to take years to figure out what really happened.
So figuring it out is one thing. Preventing it would seem at this stage is the more important thing, because we keep seeing it. How do we do that from a psychological perspective? When does somebody need to understand that this is not just, some kid who's having a bad day.
Well, I think that obviously research is important, right? Every one of these shootings gives us clues about how to prevent the next one. And so I think researchers like me get funding from different sources that are being cut right now, but I would encourage that we have more funding into research, think about domestic terrorism internally. And I do think that this question of kind of what's the role of the parents, what's the role of the family, what's the role of the psychological community. What I saw in my book, What We've Become, was about the Waffle House mass shooting. And it appeared very straightforward the first day afterwards. A white shooter killed young adults of color. And as the story unraveled, even though people thought it was straightforward right away, it turned out to be about family dynamics, about missed chances, about the FBI coming and missing. And so I think that we really need to just keep learning from these cues, but also the story of how did the person get the guns? How did the guns get to the shooting? All these factors. It's not just about the person, it's about the gun and the context.
And it becomes...
Because a lot of these school shooters, they take a gun from a parent or something. Like, how did the parent didn't know? What happened, the safety, it's crazy.
Also about, Rob, how you protect communities against this, right? How do you put not just the physical barriers in place, schools, for example, that have metal detectors, although does anybody really want to have to do that in a kindergarten?
They got that in the hood. I know I went to Shabazz and they got metal detectors in Jersey.
Or places anywhere, a church. There's that, but then there's obviously, as we were just discussing, the psychological preventative aspect of this. Where do you even start?
It is so tough to start, and you have to do it in the layers because sometimes maybe a metal detector in the entryway will stop something. But then again, he didn't even go into the church. And I think that is being overlooked. I don't think he wanted to see what was happening. He just wanted to do it. But you have to do all these different resources out there because not one thing is going to work. It may work in one case, it may not work in the other. But the problem is the weapons are out there. They're not going to come off. Like we're not getting rid of the guns. It's America, and they haven't been there. So you really have to start saying, well, this is what's out there. This is what we can do. This is what we can't do. Getting into, like I said, the mental health aspect of it, the physical aspect. There are technologies now coming out to help. And I think cameras and AI with that can help some of it. And then people just paying attention to other people and what they're doing and not being afraid to call the police and saying, I think there's something wrong here. But as we saw in the last time, as Ken said, the FBI actually went and talked to someone. They didn't deem it a threat. And a year later, he ended up committing a violent act.
That's crazy. 2 dead, 18 injured. It could have been a lot worse, too. It's crazy that we got to say that. 9-year-old girl shares surviving the Catholic school shooting. See what she said. Poor little girl.
I heard the noise and I kind of got scared at first. It was like a big firework that was like super duper duper like close. Like if like somebody did a firework that didn't launch off like in your ear, that's kind of how loud.
What were you most scared of?
I was scared about if I would get hurt. I was worried about like everybody getting like hurt and injured.
So you heard it. Someone grabbed you?
My teacher just jumped on the floor, and she kind of like motioned like for me to get down. And so then me and my buddy just followed her, and then she kind of grabbed my hand a little bit.
What was it like with your buddy holding your hand like that? How did that make you feel?
A little bit safer.
Did it feel like she was kind of watching out for you?
Yeah.
Okay, and you run to the Starbucks.
Yeah. They were letting us like try and call our parents and stuff.
You know, you're sitting here as your daughter is describing this. What are you thinking?
It's just very surreal. It's hard to believe that it was, that we're in reality right now. The feeling that I had searching was easily the worst feeling I've ever felt. I just needed to find you. I felt so much relief when I did.
A lot of kids might be scared to go to their school because of what happened at your school. What do you want to tell them?
I'd probably tell them that it's okay to be afraid a little bit, but it's actually kind of rare to what happened, so you don't have to be that worried.
Give your dad a hug.
It is rare, and she's right. It's okay to be afraid. I tell these kids all the time, you can't have courage unless you're afraid. It's not bravery and courage unless you're afraid. If you're not afraid, then you're just doing it. Okay, I'm gonna do it. Boom, I'm gonna walk across the bridge. Bye-bye. You could be tough. You could be whatever you want to say. But if you're afraid and you still do something, that's called courage. That's called bravery. Damn. Well, surviving a school shooting. I heard something about the shooter might be trans or something. I know that ain't important, but I would like it. No, let me see. Robin Westman. We're going to get all the information.
The attack of a deranged gunman rocked the nation after they opened fire on a Catholic school in Minneapolis, slaughtering 2 children and injuring at least 17 others on August 27th.
2 children.
Robin Westman opened fire through the stained glass windows of a church at the Annunciation Catholic School before committing suicide.
This is the guy right here, the scumbag. I wonder if he's going to the same place that the crooked preachers in hell.
But who was Robin Westman? Here's what we know so far. 23-year-old Robin Westman, formerly Robert Westman, has been identified as a transgender woman from Minnesota. Westman applied to change names from Robert to Robin in Dakota County at 17 years old, according to court documents.
17, not even an adult yet, and he just know he a woman. And then he act out, huh? This is how women act, huh? He acted out emotional. He got his period and everything, I guess.
The name change was granted in January 2020. The petition added that Westman, quote, identifies as a female and wants her name to reflect that identification. Just hours before the cowardly massacre, Westman posted a series of twisted videos on YouTube, which included a manifesto, Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hare confirmed at a press conference. In one
If somebody posted a manifesto, they said this is a manifesto, and they posted it online, and you their Facebook friend or whatever, call FBI, call the National Terrorism Hotline. I think that's what he said on the other video. Find out, call them. Don't just say nothing. People be so afraid to call the police or say something.
20-minute video, Westman flips through a disturbing handwritten manifesto.
Nobody's saying
In the
this,
deranged writings, it states that Westman had been suicidal for several years, but wanted to take others out too. Westman goes on to gleefully fantasize about, quote, being that scary, horrible monster standing over those powerless kids, and overtly confesses admiration for the 2012 Sandy Hook massacre, as well as other mass shootings.
Admiration.
Each page is filled with unintelligible handwritten doggerel, as well as writings in Cyrillic, which include violent ramblings such as, quote, I have had thoughts about mass murder for a long time. I am very conflicted with writing this journal. The text, translated by the Post, reads in part. The writings also go into great detail about his decision to target Annunciation, where Westman's mother, Mary Grace Westman, worked until her 2021 retirement, according to a Facebook post by the church.
The church, the church denied him or rejected him?
Maybe I could attack an event at the on-site church, which was ominously scribbled. Quote, I think attacking a large group of kids coming in from recess is my best plan. Then from there, I can go inside and kill, going for as long as I can. Westman's journal also contained copious amounts of anti-Semitic bile. Quote, if I will carry out a racially motivated attack, it would be most likely against filthy Zionist Jews. Another video posted to YouTube in the hours before the massacre showed
the big one, suck on this, fuck everything that you stand for.
A cache of weapons.
Look at all these weapons.
Including a semi-automatic rifle and a shotgun.
Where do you get these from?
Ammunition magazines were scrawled with, quote, for the children, kill Donald Trump, and 6 million wasn't enough. A reference to the number of Jewish Holocaust victims. While the deranged writings fantasize about assassinating President Trump and Jews, they also revealed a motive, that killing, quote, children of innocent civilians would bring, quote, the most joy. Westman, who died at the scene of a self-inflicted gunshot wound, was armed with a rifle, a shotgun, and a handgun.
If only he did that self-inflicting gunshot before he went there. Oh, the father. Oh.
Yesterday, a coward decided to take our 8-year-old son Fletcher away from us. Because of their actions,
a trans woman took the child of 2 gay men. That's crazy.
we will never be allowed to hold him, talk to him, play with him, and watch him grow into the wonderful young man he was on the path
Are
to
they?
becoming.
I mean, I'm just assuming. He might just be there to like help him because he got a name tag on. So I might just be assuming, but that's what he just said, and I was like, what?
Fletcher loved his
At
family,
a church?
friends, fishing, cooking, and any sport that he was allowed to play. While the hole in our hearts and lives will never be filled, I hope that in time our family can find healing.
I might have been wrong about
the
that,
other
bro.
victim's family can find some semblance of the same. I'm hopeful that all the wounded are able to make a full recovery and return home to their families. And finally, all the people, and especially the children, impacted by this horrific event are able to recover mentally and find strength to live loving, happy, and full lives. Over the past day, I've heard many stories accounting the swift and heroic actions of children and adults alike from inside the church. Without these people and their selfless actions,
More people.
this could have been a tragedy of many magnitudes more. For these people, I'm thankful. Moving forward, we ask not for your sympathy, but your empathy. As our family and the Annunciation community grieve and try to make sense of such a senseless act of violence. Please remember Fletcher for the person he was and not the act that ended his life. Give your kids an extra hug and kiss today. We love you, Fletcher. You'll always be with us.
Yeah. We love you, Fletcher. Love you. I don't even know you, Fletcher, but I'm sure you was an amazing child. Yeah. Let me know what y'all think, Cave Dwellers. Put I love you, Fletcher, in the comments. Just don't focus on the damn trans killer. Don't make it about him. 8-year-old little Fletcher. Yeah.